Welcome back, everybody. Excuse that theater intro with the spoilers. I didn't have time to put the new spoilers in we're talking about. But so you know, ahead of spoiler warning, we're talking about Avatar Last Airbender, Game of Thrones again. That is on that list. That is on that list. Doctor Who, specifically the 10th and 11th Doctor. Kim's Convenience, The Mandalorian. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, where have you
Go
been?
watch it.
Daredevil, the Netflix series. If you haven't seen that, like me, I would say where have you been, but I obviously was not there. Yeah. And we got our honorable mention list.
Which I don't know if we're going into spoilers for our honorable mention list, but I guess be aware.
You've been warned.
Yes.
But before we go into our main show, we got some exciting news. Jed's going to give us our spoiler-free Spider-Man No Way Home reaction.
Yes,
Jed,
I am.
Take it away and struggle.
I'm literally less than an hour out of the theater from watching Spider-Man No Way Home. I will do my very best not to spoil certain things. I will only speak about specific things that have been in the trailers. If that's too far for you, sorry, I guess.
Just stop right now, go watch the trailer on YouTube, and then come back to us.
Yeah,
everything Jed said.
Everything else, I'll be very, very careful as I can not to spoil anything. I personally believe people who spoil this movie, or at least intentionally spoil this movie for other people, deserve to be given a first-class ticket to meet Stan Lee in person. So with that out of the way, I will, in general terms, tell you what I thought of this movie. Now, I really like Spider-Man. He's not my favorite superhero, but he is one of my favorites. And I love a lot of the Spider-Man movies. To kind of give you an idea of what I think of the movies, I'll give you a quick run through of my rankings with them. My least favorite is Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man 2, and Into the Spider-Verse. For whatever reason, I don't really understand why everyone's ranking of Spider-Man movies is so incredibly different. I've seen people with Amazing Spider-Man 2 as their favorite, which I don't understand. But hey, you kind of get where I'm coming from when I say this. I need some time to think on it. Spider-Man No Way Home is either my second or third favorite Spider-Man movie. I don't know if I like it more than Spider-Man 2 or not. I want to give a preface that it's not perfect. I've seen some people say that the first half of the movie is kind of messy. I don't think it's messy. I was not as engaged with it as I was in the second half, but I did love the first half. Some of the things I was afraid of going into it, Sony has a tendency, with Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, etc., to put as many characters as you can into the movie, especially villains. And if you've seen the trailers, this movie includes the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, Sandman, the Lizard, amongst other characters. And that's a lot. That's more villains than any Spider-Man movie has ever had. And those other Spider-Man movies felt very overcrowded. These were perfectly balanced. Another thing, I hate fan service. I hate fan service so much. It can be done right. An example I like to cite often is The Last Jedi, which, for all its flaws, this is something I think it does well. Has fan service like, oh, Luke sees the projection of Leia from episode 4. But that's an emotional moment that's meant to progress his character arc. Yoda comes back in a moment that is key to his arc, which then affects the plot of the movie. You then compare that to, say, The Force Awakens, where, Finn is rummaging through stuff and, oh, what's this? Is this the same ball that Luke used? Cool. Or he sits down at a table. Oh, the figurines showed up. You remember that, right? Remember? I hate fan service because so often it's done like that. It's terrible. It treats us like we're babies who are like, I remember that. I like it. I remember that. No. If you were going to do things with old stuff that we recognize, make something useful, important out of it. Do some good storytelling instead of just remember the keys. You're not dangling keys in front of a child. This movie does not do any of that. This movie has a lot of fan service, lots of callbacks to old movies. And okay, one is a meme that they did for laughs and it worked in the moment. Almost all the rest of them were emotional moments that worked great in the movie. It worked seamlessly, naturally into the plot of what was going on, into the conversation. Not once did it feel forced. with the exception of one joke that, again, it's a meme. I think you'll really like it. I really liked it. I could see how some people are like, okay, that's too much. It's a very emotional movie. I knew 2 spoilers going into this. One was a big one. Another one I thought was a big one. It's more of a, well, that happened from a certain point of view. It's okay. This movie, a lot of this movie is dealing with what it means to be Spider-Man, the legacy of, it's in many ways a very meta story about, what the, all these different things like, since we have all these villains returning, what are some of the good things about them? What are some of the bad things about them? What is the pop culture legacy of some of these characters? And I will say it was handled all very, very carefully, very well. I have a lot of great things to say about this movie, but I can't say any more without spoiling it. So I don't know, Robert, you have any questions that I'll try to answer if I can? He's thinking.
Nothing that won't spoil it.
See.
So for those at home, I actually haven't seen it yet. I'm going to be seeing it tomorrow night. So I'm surprised I haven't seen any spoilers. I almost did looking up pictures for...
Very careful. Be very careful. Don't say it.
I won't say it.
Yeah, there are a lot of spoilers out there. If it's not something that's going to bother you, okay, that's fine. If you are very spoiler sensitive, like I wouldn't say I'm the most spoiler sensitive person in the world, but I was very much trying to, okay, I don't want to see anything. I want to go in fresh. If you're someone like that, go see it as soon as possible because the world is going to be talking about what happens in this movie.
See, it's funny because I'm not actually spoiler sensitive. I don't really care if people give me spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But because you've been hyping it up so much, I'm like, I don't want spoilers now.
Right.
I've never been this way.
Like some people say, the only spoilers that there are for a movie are like, knowing the nature of Bruce Willis's character in the Sixth Sense, or knowing what Rosebud is in Citizen Kane, something that will change your experience of the movie. There are people who say, a spoiler is, knowing that 2 people eat dinner in a movie. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, like to use Last Jedi as an example again. I stayed away from as much as I could with that movie coming out. There were 1 or 2 things I saw. I saw that at one point in the film, Rey is going to be in Snoke's throne room holding Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Oh gosh, we're all okay.
So Aaron was saying my mic sounds a little.
Okay, you work on that. I'll distract everyone else. I saw that she was going to hold Kylo Ren's lightsaber at some point. At one point, I saw a lot of people going like, "No, that ruins the movie. This is a huge spoiler." That's not a spoiler for me because at one point she holds a crackly red glow stick. Big whoop. Spoilers for The Last Jedi. Had I known that, say, Kylo Ren was going to kill Snoke, that's a spoiler. So I'm trying to be gingerly with how I handle talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, to be considerate of people who do consider small things like that a spoiler. But there are lots of big things in this movie to spoil that I would not dream of saying.
Yeah, and hey Aaron, how's my mic now? Is it better? Do I need to go louder? Jed, how about for you? Is that good? Too loud?
It's louder. It's not too loud for me. It's a little tinny, but it's not terrible.
Okay. I may just have to switch over to my other headphones again.
Okay.
Spent this money on a microphone? Oh well.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Those yeah, anyways. Any questions, anything, or are we ready to move on?
We'll probably just a heads up to everyone. At the end of the year we're doing our top favorite lists.
Yes.
Chances are we're going to be talking about this movie. So, if you haven't seen it by the 30th, just so you know, we are going to be talking about it.
Yes, and we'll avoid certain spoilers, but there are going to be some things that we will inevitably talk about. So either be aware of that, and if you don't care, great. Or if you do care, go watch the movie or don't watch our video until you have.
Mm-hmm. You'll hardly hear us say don't watch our video until then. But this is one of those moments. This podcast specifically is like, wait.
Go watch the movie, then go watch our video.
But I have no questions. We should probably move on before you blow up of excitement and I get more curious and just leave this episode to go watch it.
Okay. Yeah. So move on real quick from one Marvel topic to another. We just want to give a quick update on our thoughts on Hawkeye so far. There's been 2 more episodes. What have you thought of them so far, Robert?
Oh, that last one. Oh, man. So The fourth episode was great. It got me more curious.
Yep.
And then this last episode, Jed and I called it. He and I were talking offset. We were we were giving our guesstimation what was going to happen, and then boom, it happened.
It was wonderful.
Can we say it?
Okay. My standard for spoilers with television is very different from movies. With movies, you have to go pay to sit in the theater and all that. Movie, you can go watch it whenever, especially if it's streaming. And so I will say, 24 hours for a television episode. It's been more than 24 hours. I think we can say it.
Okay. Kingpin, my dudes.
Not just Kingpin. Kingpin from the Netflix series.
Which may or may not be in our list today.
Kingpin's
not Kingpin. Oh, he's my hero, man.
Yeah.
Who else can run an underground operation?
He was an honorable mention for us last week, but no, a different character might show up on. We might talk about a different character this week.
I was talking about the Netflix show specifically. There's going to be a character from.
Yes.
But anywho, yeah, Wilson Fisk. Oh man, he is one of my favorite villains in the MCU.
Yeah.
The reason why he got beat out by Kilgrave last week was because Kilgrave has much more. Start eating more carbs.
Both are very scary in their different ways. Kilgrave is creepier.
Yeah, Kilgrave fit our bad guy setup.
You feel the niche that worked well for what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Wilson Fisk, he is like his own separate. Like he's more than just a mafia boss. But anywho, you see him. You don't really even actually get to see him.
Just a grainy picture on a phone, but it's him.
Like a Nokia camera. It was him. You could tell.
Great needle drop. As soon as you see him, you start hearing the Grinch theme. You're a mean one, and cuts to credits. It was perfect.
And what was great about it too was Clint's reaction. Is like, that's the guy I was worried about.
Yeah, it's Kingpin. One I've been worried about this whole time. And like, yes, we were right. We knew it.
And I think it was so funny. Jeremy Renner's like going off on that. He's just, yeah, not even like super shocked. He was like, yeah, I was right.
Yeah. Stefan said, the other day when he saw it, he said, if the events of the Netflix shows are canon to the MCU, or at least if Daredevil is, then Kingpin will automatically become his favorite MCU villain. Because previously it was kind of iffy whether or not the Netflix shows were canon to the MCU. I wouldn't go that far just because, I love Thanos and Kilgrave so much, but it's hard to say he's wrong. They're all so great. They're all so close.
Mm-hmm. I got to throw this out there as well. For not for Kingpin, but like for the 5th episode, the transition from like the blip. With
oh gosh, yeah, that was great.
What's her name?
Elena Bologna.
Yeah. So you get to see her like saving a Black Widow. Yeah, that's complicated. Anyways, she goes into the bathroom, goes to wash her hands.
Just like splash water in her face.
I was super confused at first. I was like, when is this taking place? And then all of a sudden, just turns into dust, comes right back, and you see everything starting to change. And it's like, she got blipped. She
bends down to wash her face, splash some water in her face, and turns to dust. And then you see all in the instance reforming. And as she's coming back, the bathroom has been repainted, is redecorated. Everything is different. She's just, what is going on? In an instant, lost 5 years, had no clue. It was kind of scary.
Yeah, well, and it's cool too because I really appreciate that kind of idea because in the movies it's like, oh yeah, everyone came back in the Spider-Man Far From Home. Trying to remember
in a basketball game, or with WandaVision, you see a character who I think she was taking a nap or something, and because her eyes are closed and she reforms and wakes up, what's going on?
Yeah, so you don't see it as instantaneous, whereas with this.
We've never seen it from their point of view.
Yeah. Whereas from this, it's like you see it from her point of view. She literally just splashed her face with water and came back.
Yeah, and like she runs out into the room. The person, one of the people she was with is now gone. The other person, like she has a daughter now. It looks like she's married. Just what is going on? It's, oh boy.
Yeah, it kind of puts it into perspective of what it looked like for people who just disappeared and came back.
And also, Robert, have you seen Black Widow?
No, I'm going to be watching it this Saturday.
No. Yeah, that's fine. I saw it. I was not all that big on it. It was currently, I think it's my third least favorite movie of the year, but I know a lot of people who like it, so that's great. One of the highlights from a movie that I didn't like all that much was definitely Yelena. What did you think of Yelena now with this as your first taste of her?
So it's actually now, I need to correct myself. I saw clips of it because my parents were watching it, so I walked by and I was like, oh, hey, look, Black Widow.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, seeing it from this perspective, and then seeing her later in the episode just showing up, I'm like, I feel like she's a little more dangerous than Black Widow. Black Widow's dangerous, but I don't know. Maybe just the way she is.
Black Widow
seems so much more terrifying.
Natasha's probably more skilled, but Yelena doesn't hold back as much as her.
Yeah. Yelena?
Yeah, Yelena.
Okay. Yeah, so I shouldn't say Black Widow because Natasha and her
they're all Black Widows. Yeah.
So, anywho, that whole thing where it's like, so she is Natasha's sister.
Adopted sister. Yeah, not literal sisters.
I kind of figured. Adopted by Captain Russia?
It kind of, when they were young, they were all sent on a mission together where they were the kids. Captain Russia, the Red Guardian, he was the dad. And then another agent played by Rachel Weisz was the mom on this undercover mission. And then, they grew close as a family. And then these two little girls grew up to be Black Widows. So yeah, that's how they're related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sisters in arms.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole leading up where she was lied to by Kingpin to go kill Ronin, who just so happens to be Hawkeye.
Right.
Who happens to be was a great friend of Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah.
It kind of made her a little more threatening as a first impression.
Yeah. But, we see this super dangerous, skilled assassin in the end of episode 4. Like half of episode 5 is just her and Kate Bishop talking. He's like, hey, hello, hello, Kate Bishop. I made mac and cheese. You want to eat some? I know, it's so crazy. We are fighting and we almost kill each other. And now here I am, sworn enemy, offering you food. And it's tasty food. You want some? She's hilarious and, awkward. Not that she's awkward. She makes everyone else feel awkward because of how upfront and bold she is. And she's hilarious and charming. I love her. She's great.
She's very pretty.
Florence Pugh.
So, with that as well, it's kind of terrifying all the knowledge she gets. Kate Bishop, Kate Bishop, Kate Bishop. Are you just saying my name because you want to prove that you know about me? Yes.
He's like, yes, I know that you live this place. I know your mother's name is this, your stepfather this. I know what you do at school. I know everything about you, Kate Bishop.
And I don't know about you, but I'd be like, where's Clint? I need Clint now.
But that she's trying to kill him. So I need help, but I don't want him here.
Is Steve still around? Is he still on the moon? I could use some Steve right now.
Yeah. So, and since we've been talking so much about Yelena and a little bit about Kate, Hawkeye himself, Clint he's had a lot of really quiet moments that I've really liked. Like his moment at the memorial to the Avengers. I thought that was great. And confronting Echo, talking about being Ronin. Another great scene from him. Very quiet, thoughtful scenes, but it's given him a chance to kind of exercise his dramatic chops because people forget he's an Oscar-nominated actor. He's really good. He's not just hi, I've got hair and I can do action movies, I guess. No, he's a good actor.
And he can sing.
Really?
Yeah. He has a few songs on everywhere.
Didn't know that.
Wherever you listen to music.
Yes.
Yeah, he sings too. It's pretty. He's a well-rounded man. But
Very cool.
His performance with talking at the base of Avengers, was it Avengers Tower he was at? The memorial? It was just like, wow, I'm getting emotional. I don't even really care.
It was very, very good. I know Aaron and Stefan have said that if the finale, because next week's episode is the finale, if the finale sticks to landing, this will be their favorite Marvel show so far. Personally, I think I didn't really love the finale of WandaVision, but if it had stayed at the same level of quality as the rest of the show, WandaVision would have been my favorite. But it didn't. As things are, Loki is my favorite. But, I didn't love the start of Hawkeye. There is still room for this to, if it just has like a pitch perfect, excellent finale, something like Breaking Bad, then it could be my favorite. There's still time. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a little different on that too. I mean, I really liked Loki.
Yeah.
But Hawkeye, I think just him as a character,
Mm.
I do like him a little bit just because he's kind of that mysterious but down to earth kind of guy.
Uh-huh. Like, he doesn't let anyone in. There's so much like, what is he going? And then when you get through to that, it's just, I'm just a guy.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a guy who had a job that was trained to kill. I mean, I'm nothing that special.
Yeah.
And, she's trying to, throughout the show, she's trying to, like, make him a superhero, the big superhero, one of the big ones.
His whole point is, I don't need to feel like the coolest superhero in the world or whatever to be good enough. I'm a guy with a bow and arrow. I'm good at what I do. I'm glad I'm good at what I do. But, he cares about his family, cares about doing his good job. Just a normal guy.
He just wants to retire like anyone else.
Yeah, I would too.
He's like Captain America got it easy. He went back in time and retired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got nothing more to say. Go watch it.
All right. Well, if that's the case, we're gonna move on to our list. The main topic of our show today, as we teased last week, we're talking about our favorite heroes on all of television. As much as we love Hawkeye, he's not going to make this list, not because he's not great. We have some incredible heroes this week to talk about. Some that have given us some great television and really motivated us to, like, I empathize with what they're going through, or I want to be like them, or, oh my gosh, they're hilarious. So many wonderful things. We have some great ones in our honorable mentions, but we're actually going to go through our main ones first, and then at the end, we'll tell you our thoughts on some honorable mentions. With all that out of the way, you want to kick us off, Robert?
Yeah, so this first one, it not only was it a great show when growing up, but also it has now had, I'm not going to mention the movie.
There is no movie.
There is a new casting for a live action one.
That's true.
But it has inspired like different books and stuff. No, it's not Star Wars. It's Zuko. Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Look at that. Look at that scar. Look at that look at the angst, the pain.
I specifically got the one with his long hair. Because
Yes.
everyone likes that Zuko. Now, here's why we picked him. We were going to pick Aang. You may be thinking to yourself, why
love Aang.
Why not Aang? Well, for a hero, Jed, what is the base for the hero that we're looking for?
So, I can only speak for myself. For me, one of the, I believe it was Ralph Waldo Emerson. I could be wrong about that. Somebody who won, now I'm forgetting the name of the award. It's the Nobel Prize for literature. He was at an acceptance speech for the award, and in this speech he said, a lot of people are getting the wrong messages about what they need to write about today. The only thing worth telling a story about is the human heart in conflict with itself. I love that. Everything else is just set dressing. The idea of, doesn't matter if it's an action, horror, drama, whatever. If you are telling a story about inner character conflict, that's what matters. That's what comes across on screen. And as much as I love Aang, most of his story is about, pacifism versus, crossing the line. Not even, should I kill or not? It's, should I fight or not? What's the best way to do this? And that's a great story. But personally, I believe the emotional conflict of, I feel I will never measure up, so I will do everything I can to be good enough, even if that will mean I do things that I probably shouldn't. To me, I feel like that's a more universal story to tell, and so that's personally why I voted we go for Zuko instead of Aang.
Yeah, and I mean that follows exactly kind of what was going through my mind is the hero's journey.
Yeah,
where it talks about they go through an adventure, in a
descent to the underworld.
Yeah, huge things happen, and they come home changed. So like, kind of how Bilbo is, but that's a movie, so we're not going to mention him.
Right, lots of great heroes' journeys out there.
Yeah, but Zuko, he has that hero's journey. His father burned his face because he questioned during a meeting. There's a reason why Oze was on our bad list last week.
Yeah.
Then next Zuko's out to hunt the Avatar to try and gain his father's approval. Goes through all these situations, and slowly he's learning, hearing from his uncle, dealing with the Avatar. He starts to build up this character and starting to make his own decisions and saying, forget my father. I don't need his approval. I need my own approval of myself.
Yeah.
And then you see him at the very end confront his father, confront Azula, his sister, and he conquers it and becomes the Fire Lord. He doesn't actually take down his father. That's Aang.
Yeah.
Don't get that wrong. But he does conquer his feelings for his father.
His final confrontation with his father is all about saying, look, you have no hold over me anymore. I am free. I will do what I want. Your idea of honor is wrong. True honor is doing the right thing, regardless of what people think of you. And and then his final fight in the series is with Azula. And yes, he's not the one to take down his father, the main villain of the series, but his duel with Azula in many ways was a fight for kind of the soul of the Fire Nation. Yes, we have done terrible things, but are we going to do even worse things to justify it? Or are we going to stop everything and try and help others, try to rebuild? It's a great, like a quandary, a great argument about what to do with power when you have it, all wrapped up in one little fight scene. I mean, it's not little, it's a great fight scene, but it's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate in the fight with Azula of how he notices something as well.
Yeah, he's like, off.
Yeah, something's wrong with her. So that goes to show the difference of when in the very beginning he would have just seen that as like, oh, hey, here's my chance.
Yeah. And another thing that I just thought of, so many times, how many times in the first season does he say like, hey, let's do this dangerous thing. I don't care how many of my crew it puts in danger. I have to capture the Avatar. But then his big final moment in this fight, spoilers if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, he doesn't defeat Azula. He sees that she is about to blast his friend with lightning. And instead of taking the moment to blast her with fire, he jumps in the way to try and intercept the lightning and save her. And so his final moment, again, about power isn't, I will do whatever I need to win, to make everything okay. It's, I will use my power to protect others.
Which is what he learned from his uncle.
Yes.
Which, I think, oh man. Uncle Iroh was almost on this list as well. But
he was almost on this list.
He's technically a side character.
Which, yeah, is... I will say, just on a side note, they just cast him for the live action show they're doing on Netflix. Pitch perfect casting. We're actually going to be talking about, another character that actor plays later on this list. So if you're unfamiliar with this actor, hopefully we'll do a good job of telling you why he'll probably do a pretty good job.
It really is. More and more I just think about it, I'm like, he is a perfect cast.
Yeah.
But before we get that, we have to get through a few more. The
yes,
next
we
one
do. It's Jon Snow, the bastard of Winterfell. Look at that man. Look at his pouty face. I don't know why women go insane over his brooding, not even just like I'm serious face. They call it his pouting face. I don't get it. I don't think pouting is especially sexy, but hey, women go crazy for him. So,
maybe it's because it's the angst. You can kind of feel it.
Well, because it's not just the angst, because people don't say, oh, I love how angsty he is or how brooding he is. Like you'll hear about a lot of characters like him. It's always his pouty face. I don't know why the internet has claimed him as the pouting, beautiful person. I don't get it. But I don't know. Real quick, Robert, have you ever heard the term Byronic Hero?
That just sounds like a bionicle.
So it's named after Lord Byron, who was a famous writer way back in the day. He told these kind of characters existed long before him, but he told lots of stories with characters like this. A Byronic hero, its most basic definition is a hero kind of like the ones that Byron used to write about. They're not always heroes. They can be anti-heroes. They can be villains, but usually they're heroes. They're people who, they're loners. They're serious. They have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Sometimes they'll be really sarcastic and snarky. Sometimes they'll be like royal or elite, but they won't care about any of that. That doesn't mean anything to them. You don't have to have all of the qualities of being a Byronic hero to be one. Like one of them is, sharp-witted and very sarcastic. Jon Snow, he's not that. I mean, he has a few laughs throughout the series, but it's more of just, dry soldier humor. It's not, oh, I'm the wittiest guy around. Like Loki is a great example of a Byronic hero. He, sharp tongue, sharp wit, all that. But Jon Snow for me is who I think of when I think of Byronic hero. One of the things that's key to being a Byronic hero is basically the whole world hates you. The whole world is taking a crap on you any chance it gets. And Jon Snow kind of fits that to a T. He was born a bastard. He's the illegitimate child of this lord in the series of A Game of Thrones. And, it'd be one thing if, he's just a bastard, whatever. Because a lot of royal people in Game of Thrones, they're like, oh, whatever. I went off to war, didn't know if I was going to come back alive. Hey, this might be my last night in the world. Then 9 months later, boom, baby. But that's not the kind of man his father was. He comes back from war with a baby in his arms. He was already married. In fact, he had been married like the night before he went off to war. He comes back and his wife has a son. He comes back with a son who is not hers. And this man, he said, look, I screwed up. I will bear this mark of shame forever, but I'm not going to take it out on this kid. I should never have done what I did, but I will raise him as one of my own. I will take responsibility for what I did. And so he has a great father. The closest thing he has to a mother, his father's wife, she hates him so much. In fact, when he was a child, he took fever and almost died. And she prayed and prayed that he would die. It's like the one thing about her, she's a wonderful mother, a wonderful leader, a great character. But her one, flaw is how much she resents her husband's illegitimate son. And, she eventually changes her mind and says, okay, please, she's praying, please save his life. And if you do, I will treat him like my son. I will I will treat him how I should. And his life is saved, but she just can't bear to do it. In fact, the last time they ever speak, because he decides, no one loves me, but I will be like my father. I will live a life of honor. I will sacrifice my life, not kill myself, but I will go dedicate my life to going off and serving in this, defense force sort of thing in the land where they'll guard against, zombies and savages and all this stuff. And part of that includes a vow of no wife, no children, no family. It is a life of solitude up there with your brothers in arms, up in the cold, basically at the North Pole. It's terrible. But his half brother had just been crippled and he's in a coma. And he goes to kind of say goodbye, and his mother's there and saying like, "Oh, get out! You're awful." Well, not his mother, his mother, his father's wife. And for the first time in his life, she calls him by his name. Says, "John." Turns around. It should have been you. The whole world craps on him. He finally, he's the sort of character who I don't care if what is going on is, a more pragmatic thing, always do the right thing. Which, I mean, that's a philosophy called deontology. Personally, I see the merits of it. I find in storytelling, people who are like, always do the right thing no matter the consequence. I find this kind of boring. It's not in Game of Thrones, though. Because in Game of Thrones, doing the right thing, hey, props for you for doing the right thing. Bad things will happen if you do the right thing. But he doesn't care. Well, he saves a bunch of these savages because there's an army of ice zombies on the other side of this wall and says, hey, we need to let them through. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but, if they're killed by the ice zombies, the army of ice zombies becomes bigger. That'll screw us over. Let them through. And his brothers in arms killed him for that. He's resurrected, through magic. As one of only 2 characters in Game of Thrones who comes back after being killed. Everyone else, they die, they stay dead. It changes him. He's not, do whatever's right all the time. Now he's always do whatever keeps people alive. He still has a sense of honor about him, a very strong one. There's a line I love in the later seasons where, someone says to him, would it kill you to learn to lie? Because his honor and sense of duty was getting them into trouble. But he's a great character that, thinks, I should always do what's right. I should save as many people regardless of whether I have to do bad things. His biggest failing is believing that other people will act as honorably as him. It's he's a great role model of doing the right thing and also doing the pragmatic thing but never giving up your morals to do it. Even if the whole world is, is saying you're awful, you can't do it, we'll fight you to the death over it. So yeah, that's Jon Snow.
He kind of reminds me of Constantine from DC.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of similarities.
So he would be considered a Byronic hero?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I never knew about that kind of hero.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't know if all of my favorite heroes are Byronic heroes, but it is a trope that I do find particularly compelling.
I mean, it makes sense because you're used to seeing like these heroes always be lifted up by other people.
Right.
And
like, I don't know if I would call Superman a Byronic hero, but you could call Captain America one because the whole world, in Civil War is telling him, hey, you have to do this. You have to, sign the accords. You have to change. You have to, turn in your friend. And he's the one, like that speech, plant yourself like a tree and say, no, you move. And so you could say that. But typically when you think of Byronic heroes, it's people like Batman. No, I am alone. I will do whatever I need to for the right thing. Or, Zuko, in many ways, is a Byronic hero. The whole world is awful. Everything has been taken from me, but I will stand strong regardless. Byronic hero. I love him.
Man, I can't wait for the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. Sorry, you said Batman, Byronic hero. I can't wait. If you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out.
Yes, and last thing I'll say about Jon Snow, Robert, you can actually attest to this. He's, it's not the most important thing about his character. He's great with a sword. If you haven't seen the Battle of the Bastards, it might be the greatest action scene in all of television. Go watch it.
That scene. So there's only been a few scenes I've seen in Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. That is one that I remember.
No nudity, no language. The violence for most of it actually stays PG-13 until it gets to a certain point where like, oh, yep, that's graphic.
It went from PG-13 to realistic real quick.
Yes.
But and terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But like, it does such a good job. I mean, one, mind you, he's on the ground and he's got cavalry. Words. Cavalry.
Some of you may have seen this shot. People will use it online all the time in memes or GIFs or whatever. A cavalry charge coming at him, the whole world bearing down on him, kind of like in Endgame when you see Captain America standing alone against Thanos' army. What does he do? He takes out a sword and he gets ready to face his death like a man.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Cool.
And just watching it behind the scenes, if you're one of those guys or girls, if you're one of those people who like watching behind the scenes stuff, that is a very great shot to watch the behind the scenes of.
You would not believe how much of that scene is CGI.
They create the chaos that happens in battle, but keep it organized to a point where you can see it. That's that's my geek out moment. But yeah, Jon Snow is great with the sword.
Great choreography, great CGI. Great, in my opinion, best TV action scene ever. Please go watch it. It's incredible.
If you don't want to watch the whole series, I understand. That's me.
Yeah.
But definitely go watch that battle because that battle is historic.
Yes. All right. That's enough about Jon Snow. We want to move on to, speaking of history.
Yeah, speaking of history, we're talking about a Time Lord. That's right. For all you those who are British out there. Doctor Who. Specifically, we're talking about the 10th Doctor, which is played by David Tennant.
Mm.
Now, I did mention of how we're also going to mention Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, but we're mainly going to be talking about David Tennant. Why? Because his character kind of fits what we're talking about, with the hero's journey and stuff like that. For those who don't know, in Doctor Who, this is a Time Lord. He's an alien from space. He has a time machine that looks like a police box.
Kind of immortal.
Kind of immortal. They have a regeneration cycle. Mm-hmm. So there's a total of, well, there's more doctors now, but at the time there was only 10 doctors with David Tennant.
10th iteration, he keeps regenerating, turning, anytime he dies, he turns into a new version of himself. But he's kind of like Superman in that he's not quite the last of his kind. He's not the last Kryptonian or the last Time Lord, but he's like one of like 2, 3 left.
Yeah, he is pretty much alone. But there was this major war that happened at his planet. Mm-hmm. So unlike Superman, where the world was kind of collapsing and they were fighting each other at the same time.
Yeah.
In this case, there was a major battle between 2 different species. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of ruined everything. So here we have David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, who is feeling kind of the regret of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's kind of what stopped. He's the reason why the war stopped. He managed to pull it off and stop it. And he himself feels guilty about it.
No, and he's seen a lot more Doctor Who than I have. If I'm understanding correctly, it's not just he's responsible for it stopping. He's responsible for it stopping roughly with the results that it stopped with.
Yeah, he basically, the way he puts it, he destroyed Gallifrey in the process.
His homeworld.
His homeworld, which is the world of the Time Lords.
Yes.
And he feels guilty about this war because he's the reason why so many people died. In fact, in one of the specials that came out, the Day of the Doctor, where it has the 10th and 11th Doctor, and the Doctor who blew up Gallifrey. Basically.
Okay.
I say blow up. He didn't literally blow it up, but go watch it yourself. It's on HBO.
BBC. Okay. Cool.
It is on HBO. But you get to see the older Doctor. This is before he actually sets. This is when he's making his decision.
Mm-hmm.
He asks the 11th Doctor and the 10th Doctor, how many children are on Gallifrey? The 11th Doctor, this is one of the reasons why I like Matt Smith, is because he's kind of funny and all crazy and stuff. Because he's trying to forget. He's trying to forgive himself and forget.
Yeah.
He's sitting over there like scratching away at something. He's like, I don't remember. David Tennant's Doctor, he's still feeling that regret. Still trying to make up for it by trying to save everyone's lives.
Yeah.
He spits out the number. He's like, how could you forget that? How could you forget all of that?
Yeah.
11th Doctor responds, I've been alive a long time. Granted, he looks younger than David Tennant, but
true. Yeah.
That's what regeneration does. So that's the reason why we picked the 10th Doctor, as Jed read an article that I sent to him. He has that internal battle that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's most of the time you don't see that out of him. He's very charming. Alonzi, right? He always
Alonzi.
Always like, we're moving on to the next thing. We're going on adventures. We're having fun. But he's charming and all that. It's not that it's a mask. It's not who he is. That is who he is. But it's a coping mechanism for him to say, like, look, what happened in the past is awful. It's terrible. I have to do something about it.
Make sure it doesn't repeat itself.
Yeah.
And another thing as well, I got to throw this out there because you and I were talking about this before, is that the 10th Doctor, he always all the Doctors have their sidekicks, essentially.
Their companions,
companions. The 10th Doctor, when he's with his companions, you see that more lively, funny side of him. Mm-hmm. But when he's alone, that's when he's, left alone with your thoughts. Oof.
Yeah.
That's when you get to see the side of him that just regrets and it hurts him and stuff like that. So he's got this two sides. He's not human, but he's close enough where you start to feel that personal connection. Like he's not just one face. Mm-hmm. He's 11.
Well, he's 10, but
he's 10 at this point. Yeah, he's 10. I think they're like on the 12th Doctor now. I don't know. I stopped watching after Matt Smith.
They're on the 13th. I feel weird that I know that and not you.
Well, I stopped watching after the 11th. I kind of want to pick it up because the next Doctor was hilarious. From what I heard.
After Matt Smith, it's Peter Capaldi, and I haven't seen any of his stuff. I've only seen 2 episodes of Doctor Who, but I love Peter Capaldi as an actor. He's great. He's so funny, but he's also a great dramatic actor. After Peter Capaldi, it's I believe her name is Jodie Clark.
I don't know.
I've heard less positive things about it, but I haven't seen anything, so I don't know. She could be fantastic for all I know. I don't know.
I've only seen memes and stuff for Peter, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to watch it now. Yeah. But that's the Doctor. For the Doctor. The Doctor. Now, we're going to be talking about Uncle Iroh. Sorry. Who?
Appa, we're talking about Kim Sang-il. Look at this wonderful, wonderful man, this father. For those of you who haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, he is from a show called Kim's Convenience. I'm going to be honest, he's one of the greatest characters to come out of a sitcom in years. I love Appa so much. It's Kim's Convenience. It's a small little Canadian sitcom that came out a few years ago. You can find the whole thing on Netflix. It's weird. I don't know why. The whole show is rated TVMA. It should not be TVMA. In 2 episodes, and there's like 20 episodes a season, in 2 episodes in the first season, someone drops an F-bomb once. And it's always like someone off camera, you kind of don't really hear it. The rest of the show, nothing. Super family. Well, there's 1 or 2 episodes where you're like, oh, wow, that innuendo is kind of hilarious, but a little mature. But even then, it's innuendo. The rest of the show is super clean. Watch it. It's amazing. It's hilarious. It's great. Appa, he is the father of this immigrant family. They came over from Korea. They literally set up shop in Canada. He owns a convenience store, hence Kim's Convenience. And he's practical. He's stubborn. He's kind of like Archie Bunker. He's kind of like I'm the loud, obnoxious father figure who just doesn't understand the kids, but he does want to try and, understand what all is going on. Like the very first scene of the series is the cold open where, he's in his store doing something and 2 people come off the street and say like, hey, Mr. Kim, it's Pride Week. Can we hang up some posters in your shop to advertise for the big Pride parade that's going to be later this week? And he says, he's like, let me see. He looks at the poster. No, this is a terrible poster. No, get a better poster. Come on. And the one who knows this guy is like, okay. The other guy, he doesn't know him. Are you being homophobic? He speaks with a thick Korean accent. Homophobic? I am not a homophobic. No, I do not hate a gay. I do not hate the gay. Why are you so loud about it? You should be like Anderson Cooper, Neil Patrick Harris, quiet, polite gay. Not be like weird, crazy, fancy gay. No, don't do that. It's not anything about the gays. The parade, it's loud, it's obnoxious. Nobody likes that. And he's like, I'm going to tell everyone that you're a homophobe. He's like, but if I am a homophobe, then why do I have gay discounts? And he says, for this week, for Pride Week, I have a gay discount. He's like, so you'll give, he's like, yep, I will give, I forget what it is, like a 10% discount to anyone who's gay. How will you know if they're gay? You have gaydar? Yes, I have the gaydar. I can tell.
It's so funny. I freaking love it.
He has a kind heart, kind of grumpy demeanor, and he's not really known for his apologies, but when he's giving one to you, which, granted, he'll do in a really bad way. He's not very good at it. But when he's trying, you'll know he really means it. He's a wonderful father figure, both in the sense that he's hilarious and a lot of like, wow, dads do that. It's funny. I know that. I love that. I can relate to that. But also, he's a great, example of a father. Like, he's not perfect, and sometimes he's a bad dad. Overall, he's a great dad, but sometimes he messes up, and he tries to fix it. Not always as soon as he should, not always the best he should, but he tries as hard as he can. And, he has a kind of splintered relationship with his son Jung, and who's played by Simu Liu, who's Shang-Chi now, and he's great in that. If he's going to be playing Iroh, and so complicated relation with a son figure who he's trying to teach lessons to, but isn't always the best at communicating them. Not to mention he's hilarious, and he's actually an expert in Hapkido, a South Korean martial art. It's perfect for Uncle Iroh. Yeah. He does some Hapkido in the show. He's really funny. He's skilled. He's wonderful.
It's funny because that's a very... Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong martial art.
From what I understand, there's a fair amount of grappling in it. He only really goes in depth in Hapkido in one episode.
Well, because I was gonna say it's very water based. If it's the one like waterbender based, like it's very similar. It's not the martial art they use for water. No,
waterbending was based off of Tai Chi, but out of the 4 martial arts that they mainly based off of the bending off of, I would say it's closest to waterbending. Yeah, just in my limited experience.
If it's the one, it's the martial art I'm thinking of. I'll look it up sometime.
Sure. Yeah.
But anywho.
Yes. That's Appa. He's wonderful. Yeah. He's emotional. He's hilarious.
And I got to throw this out there, too, because we were talking about the father aspect. As a husband aspect, too, it's also great.
Yes.
He's constantly encouraging his wife and helping her out. They have these funny little arguments, and then he gives up and just gives in to
Yes.
what his wife said.
Yes, Aicham. Yeah, he's Aicham. If you don't know, is kind of the Korean version of Oy vey. It's just this is a nightmare. Aicham.
It's hilarious. And why is he on our hero list? Because his character is very much, it's a father.
Yes.
And fathers are a huge thing just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, he raised Shang-Chi, I guess.
Yeah, he's not a superhero. He's not, hi, I do everything perfectly. It's in many ways it's because of how often he messes up and how human his attempts are to try and fix everything. That's kind of why I wanted to put him on this list.
Mm-hmm. His interactions with his daughter is a great.
It's really touching, and he's estranged with his son at the beginning of the series, and by the end they're on better speaking terms. And watching that journey, that growth, it's great.
Totally worth the watch.
Yes.
I mean, every time I went down to Rexburg, I was like, I hope they're watching Kim's Convenience.
Which a lot of the time we are.
It's hilarious. Every time I sit down and start laughing with them. Granted, I'm also doing this. Because I just had a 4.5 hour drive at night.
Yes. There's also there's an episode where he starts interacting with someone who identifies as non-binary and he doesn't understand everything. So he's just like, oh, she said this, and his daughter says, no, you have to say, no, you can't say she, they did this. They? Who? No.
Who they?
He doesn't understand, but he's trying, which makes it so funny.
And I think it's funny. My favorite one is probably when his wife gets diagnosed, and they get the handicap sign. And so he's like talking to one of his buddies or not even his buddies, like frenemy, coming into his store, and he's like, "You want to learn how to act? Put a jawbreaker in your shoe, and it'll act like you're limping." Because he wants to use the sign to get his parking.
Yeah, he wants to use the handicap thing, the handicap spaces.
Even though he's not the one who's handicapped, so he's trying to fake it. So he puts a jawbreaker in his shoe and limps throughout so he can get the acting down right.
And he keeps making it bigger and adding more, making it worse. It gets to the point where he messes up his foot so badly. For the rest of the episode, he actually does need the handicap spot.
It's so great. That show does good karma as well.
Yeah. Hey, but speaking of great father figures, I think we have another one coming up here. Yes,
this man's played by Pedro Pascal and has led to the new series coming out this month, Book of Boba Fett. It is Din Djarin. Did I say that right?
The Mandalorian. Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Look at him. Look at that. Look at that sexy helmet. I don't know about the face, but that helmet, man.
That helmet. Ooh. Dude, have you seen those memes of where it's like what society thinks men want to dress, how they really want to dress?
Yes.
This armor is literally one of those things. It's like, I don't want to wear those stupid tie and stuff. Give me that.
Yeah.
I'll wear that to church meetings. Just say this is the way.
Heck yeah.
Can you imagine that walking into church? This is the way.
I mean, if you said that in a testimony meeting, there's a 50-50 shot half the congregation would also say this is the way.
That'd be hilarious. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, the cult he was in is a religion, the Mandalorian religion.
Yeah, it is.
So I guess it works. But yeah, I figured I'd get the one with this armor and then one with Pedro Pascal's face on there. But great hero, because you get to see this guy go from bounty hunter to follow orders to follow his moral compass.
Yeah,
and it's great too because the Mandalorian leader of that little sect was just like, do what you want, follow your heart, whatever. May the force be with you is what the Jedi say. Stupid wizards. I love how they call them wizards. Oh, it makes me so happy.
They are.
I mean, they are. They're space wizards, and heck, even the kid in. Do you think Anakin's buddy was a Mandalorian? He's like, that's totally wizard.
Kitster?
Is that his name?
Kitster, yeah.
He secretly knows he's part of him.
Anywho, no. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, anywho, you get to see this man go from very strict to the Mandalorian code.
It's just a gunslinger in space. Just, I will do everything perfectly. Also, when's the next job?
He's a go-getter. And then he comes across this kid. Well, a 50-year-old kid.
Yeah. He ages differently. He's still a kid.
Yeah, he's Baby Yoda. Or, as we now know him as, Grogu. But still Baby Yoda in every kid's eyes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest turning points for this character, this is my personal opinion, is when he goes with Bill Burr's character.
In episode, in the first season or the second season?
I believe it is the second season.
Okay, yeah. So he's lost the child. He'll do anything to get him back. And he goes undercover with, now I'm blanking on his character's name too. Bill Burr in space. He's an ex-Imperial.
Yeah. So that mission right there, I feel like, because, I mean, you have multiple turning points for this character in general, but the major one that just kind of changed his perspective, I feel like, was in that episode.
Yeah. And for those of you who
loses the helmet, he loses.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this Bill Burr's character, I can't remember his name. He's my favorite character in the show.
All right, I'm looking it up.
Okay, while you look it up, he's a smart aleck. He's always making jokes about people trying to get under their skin, but it's not just he's not just trying to get under their skin because he likes making jokes and making fun of people. He's doing it because, partially it's how it's a defense mechanism for him. But, even in a more serious moment, as he's talking with Mando as they're driving along, he's like, hey, no, seriously, like, think about the things you do. Think about why you do it. Why do you do that? Like, you can't show people your face or you can't take off your helmet. There is a difference. Why do you, and he gets him to think, why do I do the things that I do? What is important to me? Am I doing this because because I have a quest that has been assigned to me? I have this sense of honor. I have to, fulfill this mission, get the child back so I can get him to a Jedi. Or are you doing this because you care about the kid and you'll do anything to get the kid? Those are different things. They might look the same on the outside, but you'll be a different person and they will lead you to do different things at the end, depending on why you're doing it. You find his name?
Yeah, the character's name is Mayfeld.
That's it. Miggs Mayfeld.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like all these heroes have that one character who just kind of shifts their perspective to make them become the hero that's the real changing part of and I feel like Mayfeld was the one that did it for him, because after that he says screw tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you find it so funny when Sistine's sister, what's her name?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, thank you. Bo-Katan? Bo-Katan? Bo-Katana?
Han?
Hannah Solo? So I find that scene hilarious when he gets the Darksaber after fighting. And he comes up to her and she goes to hand him, he's like, I lose.
Yeah, he's like, no, it has to be won in battle. Okay, we're fighting. I yield. Take it. I don't want it.
Yeah, which I find absolutely hilarious because he used to follow ancient Mandalore rule.
Yeah.
Which would fall underneath ancient Mandalore rule. She says it's dumb and stupid, but yet she follows that one rule.
Yeah, they all have their different rules, and they're sometimes, he started out as this fundamentalist, and now he's gotten to the point where that's not important. She started out as like, you don't need to wear your helmet all the time. Who cares about that? And now no, this is important. This is sacred.
Mm-hmm. So we get to see this change of a hero.
Yeah.
And a character. He grows attached to the youngling, who eventually hands off to Skywalker.
Spoilers. Yeah. Spoilers. Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Sadly, I mean, kind of been funny to see a blooper scene of him taking Baby Yoda and just like, here you go, kid. I have nothing more to say. He's great. Go watch The Mandalorian. I'm looking forward to season 3.
Yeah.
Have they confirmed when is season 3?
They have not confirmed it. I believe they have finished filming. I'm not 100% confident in that, but I know they have started filming. They're in production. If they're not in production, they're in post-production, but we don't have a release date yet. It will probably not be announced until the Book of Boba Fett has finished, which first episode comes out in 2 weeks, I think. So
yes, I do
believe
it's in 2 weeks. And hey, Jed, do you want to? What's that tweet that you sent me? That picture. I kind of want to share that on here.
Oh yeah, so Book of Boba Fett. For those of you who are somewhat interested, be perfectly honest. They're making a series about Boba Fett. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll watch it. I like Boba Fett. He's great. I watched the trailer. I'm like, oh, this is like Godfather in space. Okay. They keep putting out like TV specials and all that. No more trailers since that very first one. And I keep thinking like, I keep seeing the same stuff over and over. Like I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, but it's not making me more excited. Well, Robert Rodriguez, who's one of the people behind the show, he said everything we've seen in marketing, that's all from like the first half of the first episode. There's going to be some twists and turns in this that they do not want spoiled, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to be.
And Boba Fett's really good at keeping secrets, so
yes, he is.
You know, I'm pumped. But moving on, because I think we finished up the Mandalore.
Yeah, we got our final character here, who Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios. If you didn't know, he's kind of the mastermind behind the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He recently said in an interview, I don't remember the exact wording, but he's like, hey, if we ever cast this character in a movie, he's going to be played by Charlie Cox. That's right. Talking about Matt Murdock. Talking about Daredevil, the devil of Hell's Kitchen. Look at that man. I mean, so much I could talk about that man. I mean, he's torn. He's not even torn apart. He's caught between two competing ideologies, but not just two. Like he's caught between. He's a lawyer by day, a pro bono lawyer. He goes after the people who need his help most and say, hey, I won't charge you. I just want to help you. And if we win, we all win. But I want to help you. By night, he's a vigilante who finds thugs and criminals and beats the snot out of them so he can try and clean up the streets. He's also torn between, he's Catholic. Very strong sense of morals, very strong sense of guilt. He has that Catholic sense of guilt. And, always do the right thing, because if I don't do the right thing, I'm going to regret it forever. But he also has this devil inside him. He has this innate urge for violence. It's like, no, I have been wronged. People are doing wrong things, and they need to be put down. And then he also has occasional semi-suicidal tendencies, where in the third season especially, he's like, listen, I don't have anything left to live for. I'm going to go out and fight these people. And if I can't beat them, they're just going to have to kill me. I guess to a point where he's just on his knees, like, do it, finish me. And he's just torn apart. He's held by this tension in so many things to do all these things, be all these things. But he can never commit to one thing. And, usually that's like, oh, well, he's not really doing anything. He's not really progressing. They find the tension of the character, that conflict, and they're able to have him waffle back and forth between these two things and get so much drama out of it. He is fantastic character. He is I love this moment of his in the second season. For those of you who don't know, the character Daredevil, he's kind of like a lot of iterations of Batman. He has this one rule: he will not kill. And he's talking in the second season of the Netflix show with the Punisher, saying, okay, there's this one guy, he's really terrible. Maybe this one time we can kill him. And Punisher is the one who walks back and says, no. That's what I do. You do that. You can't undo that. You can't walk back that line. You can't say, I don't kill, except for that one guy. I mean, he deserved it, because if you do that, you'll find people who deserve it everywhere. Because Punisher thinks there are people who deserve it everywhere. And boy, does he kill everyone he can. But
very violently, I might add.
Yeah, he believes that Daredevil, everything he does is a half measure. These are bad people. They will continue to do bad things unless they are stopped permanently. That's what I do. And Matt Murdock, he literally, in that picture we showed earlier, those red glasses, he literally sees, well, he doesn't see the world, he's blind, but he metaphorically sees the world through rose-tinted lenses. He sees the best in people. He thinks, look, like, I know I have this terrible thing inside me, but I also know that I'm not giving in. These people, I know they've done terrible things. They can be better. He believes in the better versions of themselves, even though he's always torn, like, but I know there's not a better version of themselves. He's always torn between those two things. And the exploration of his character is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And, that thing that Kevin Feige said, if he ever casts Daredevil, it'll be Charlie Cox, that version we've seen. That prospect, when I heard that, very much excited me. That's all I'll say.
And I gotta say, the video I was watching that you sent me so I can get to know it more. I haven't actually seen the show. I've seen clips and stuff, and I mainly saw the clips originally for how they did their camera work. And
Yeah, the fight scene
I
and
was
choreography, camera work, phenomenal.
one takes.
Yeah,
One
each
long
season has a one take fight scene, and each one gets even more impressive.
Mm-hmm. So, when I was watching this, someone explained in one of the videos of how what makes Charlie Cox so good at this scene is how he expresses emotion.
Yes.
Without sight. So he doesn't have to see something to feel anything. So he's beating up Wilson Fisk. We were talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
Beating him up, all that good stuff. I mean, well, I guess that's the good. Yes. So,
spoilers, the hero and villain of a show fight at some point.
I know, right? I never blew my mind. No. And also there's that part where he got tied up by Punisher?
Yes, he's changed to a building, to a chimney up on a rooftop.
Chimney. But
very emotional, intense scene.
The conversation that they have there,
mm-hmm.
because was that the scene you were talking about of how it's like, no, if you kill one person.
They actually have that conversation a few times in that season. Okay. But yes, that's the first time.
Okay, so that's the one I saw in this video of how he starts yelling like, I can't kill because they have. What if they change?
Yeah, that's at a point where Punisher wants him to change. He's like, look, like I kind of get what you're doing, but you are doing half measures, and those half measures are dangerous. Do it the right way. Kill this man.
And there's that Catholic in him that's like arguing, saying, no, they have a choice. They can change. That's why I don't want to kill them. Incredible scene, by the way. If I had Netflix, I'd probably watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the second season is probably the weakest of the three, but the best parts of that season are all the interactions between Daredevil and Punisher. They're incredible.
I got to throw this out there. Those of you who are Daredevil fans, check out the costume.
Yeah,
that is
great
costume. Awesome costume.
I'll be honest, I actually prefer the the homemade one he wears. It was just like a black t-shirt and a like kind of black bandana over his face. But his official Daredevil costume, I love it. It's great.
We should get a picture of, or get like a video of Stefan wearing his, because he got the outfit. It looks really good. But yeah, I do like that first one. The only reason why I like this too is just because I like seeing the comic transition to real life. Yeah. But I do agree with you on that. But it looks cool. Mm-hmm. I got nothing else to say because I don't know much about it besides the fact that I like Daredevil from the comics. And I just got a shout out. I love. I really do like Punisher from the comics as well. Yes. I don't know much about the background in the actual show and stuff, but I know the comic background.
It's essentially the same. I would love to see John Bernthal's Punisher in the MCU. I don't know if he's going to be brought back, but Daredevil is much more likely. So if you want to get caught up on what could happen, go watch the Netflix Daredevil show. Even if he doesn't show up in the MCU, you won't regret it.
Mm-hmm. And there you'll get to see also Wilson Fisk that we talked about in Hawkeye,
who we do know is in the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Whether or not it's the same kind of played character, we'll find out.
Right.
Shall we move into our honorable mentions?
All right. Yeah. Let's breeze through these. These are a lot of the people who we love them. They're incredible, but they couldn't quite make our list. Who'd have got first, Robert?
All right. First is gonna be. It's funny because I got some of the anime characters. First one is an actual comedy anime. Saitama from One Punch Man. Yeah, the iconic. One Punch. So here we have a man who wanted to be a hero but became so powerful that nobody could challenge him, ultimately leading to a lot of funny stuff. Hence this little picture right here. There's more serious pictures that look cool, but he's just a funny character all around. No one can beat him.
Yeah, you'd think that leads to like a that's like an SNL sketch or an online comedy bit that's like 3 minutes long. A guy who's so powerful that it's boring now. That's funny. You wouldn't think that you could make an entire TV show based off of that comedic premise. It doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't. There's 2 seasons. The 3rd season's coming out next year, I think. Is announced.
Awesome.
That or 2023. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Up next, we got Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender. This man, he is the Dragon of the West. He's a firebending general who seeks to teach his nephew Zuko, whom we spoke about earlier, wants to teach him the lessons that he never got a chance to teach his late son, Lu Ten. He's hilarious, emotional, a lot of depth to him. We love him.
And next on our list is Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. He's a demon hunter who lost his family and now seeks to save his sister, who was turned into a demon. And you get to see a lot more compassion and stuff of how he feels, and changes the Demon Slayer core by feeling compassion towards the other demons who also were transformed.
Yeah, he's great. And not just a television character, he had a movie this year.
Yeah, as a really big movie, too.
Yeah, I think it's the #1 box office movie in Japan ever.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have Special Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. He's chipper. He's charismatic. He's an FBI agent with a heart of gold. And I love this about him. He has genuine sincerity. And it's a breath of fresh air in today's very, very cynical world. And in this, not cynical, but the very dark world of Twin Peaks. Love him for it.
And we talked about the Bob in our honorable mentions last week.
Oh boy. I mean, talk about ultimate evil, and then talk about, a guy who he's had some bad experiences in life, but he moves forward. He helps others.
Speaking of moving forward and helping others, we got Captain Rex from Star Wars, The Clone Wars. Captain is legendary 501st Legion of the Grand Army of the Republic. Rex is both a soldier and a leader who must balance creative thinking and the duty following orders like a good soldier. And one of the few that managed to get away from actually killing the Jedi they were with.
Well, citizen.
All right, Mace Windu.
He also shows up in Rebels. So yeah, if you love Star Wars, but you haven't started getting to the expanded universe, the shows and stuff, if you do, you're probably going to see him a lot. All right, and our final entry in our honorable mentions is the Tick. He is the single funniest superhero ever written, and if you disagree, well, I respect your right as an American to be wrong.
You haven't watched it. That's my thing.
Yes, exactly.
The Patrick Warburton specifically, because that one's just absolutely hilarious.
I love the iterations as well, but Patrick Warburton is my favorite.
Because he's the Tick, and no one can tell him otherwise. And he doesn't know death. Anywho, moving on. That was good. Good, fast, honorable mention list.
Yep.
But
yeah. So yeah, those are our thoughts on our our favorite heroes in television, and we have so many others that we love that we couldn't throw in there. Like off the top of my head, Jaime Lannister, another character from Game of Thrones, seems like a villain at first. No, he's a great hero, great character, and I'm sure Robert has plenty of others he'd like to throw on that list. But ultimately, yeah, I mean we did. We had a very long list that we narrowed it down from. But ultimately, we want to know who are your favorite television characters. Go down to the comments, tell us who. And if you didn't get a chance to, go watch last week's episode about our favorite TV villains. We had to whittle down a large list for that one, but I can stand behind the list we got. It was great.
And stay tuned next week when we start up again, and we're going to watch some more right before Christmas.
Yeah, we're talking about Christmas movies, and oh boy, do we have thoughts.
Yeah, how do you feel about Hallmark? Don't tell me now. Tell me in the comments next week.
Yes.
Well, in that case, World Cinematics signing off. See you next week.